Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Mr. Chairman. Um, First of all, on the, I want to ask the VA, Ms. Bogue, do y'all plan to implement an electronics COE if this legislation doesn't pass, even though I have confidence that it will pass?
Yeah, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. Thank you. So basically, we can do this without legislation. It really is an IT change that needs to transpire. It's something that we were actually trying to go down that path prior to Comary Act, and it's still on our roadmap to do so. So,
Do you plan to do so?
yes, our plan is
And
to do
when?
so.
And when?
I don't have a time frame because right now we're still implementing the last stages of Comary as well as the retroactive piece for the monthly housing allowance changes. So we're still in that process with Comary. So we do not have a timeline as it relates to implementing certificates of eligibility.
Oh, okay, very good. And, Mr. Chairman, I recommend we still go forward with the legislation, just to be on the safe side, but I appreciate that.
No problem.
In your written testimony, you voiced concerns with the current drafting of the bill to close a GI Bill loophole that changes the liability of education debts if a service member has transferred their GI Bill benefits but does not complete their service obligation. This question is for Ms. Bogue again. If the bill text was altered to clarify that the service member would only be eligible for overpayments that were created solely because they did not complete the service obligation, as opposed to overpayments created by dropping a class, would VA support that change?
We would support that change. When we look at that particular program, we see that that is the number one issue when it comes to our dependents, is that the service member has not completed their service obligation time, and now that debt falls on the student. The law is actually silent right now on that issue, and we were trying to work with our general counsel on how to implement something by policy in order to transfer that debt to the service member versus the dependent. So we would appreciate a statutory fix in order to make that clear.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Murray, please tell us more about why you believe we should ease some of the restrictions on those who can use the vet tech pilot and the legislation, of course, that the Minority Leader McCarthy spoke of this morning.
Thank you, sir. The part-time participation, we think, is one of the biggest changes that can come along with this, because what we've recognized for years now that as student veterans go back to school, they're doing so at different rates than the traditional student. So we think that opening up different eligibility, different opportunities for the non-traditional student, for part-time students, or folks working, single parents, things like that, opening up all these programs for that student veteran. Especially because it turns out, if you look at the numbers, that's actually the majority of them. So building and designing these programs for traditional, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, full-time students is not what the student veteran is. So we think that this aligns the eligibility expansion with the population we're trying to hit.
Agreed. Very good. Thank you. Mr. Kamen, again from the Legion, can you please tell us why you believe the Class Evaluation Act could hurt schools who currently use the dual certification system?
Thank you, sir. And again, we do appreciate the intent of the program and oversight being a focus that we can collectively come up to some solutions on. What dual certification is before the semester even begins, I get the student's credits and I put that into the certification, but I leave the tuition blank. And then during the add drop period, I can amend the tuition based on any, if there was any changes in credits to exactly what it is. This is a strategy that VA has endorsed. It's on their website, and it proposes it as a way to alleviate these overpayments. It's a way to distribute the workload so that you can, in advance of the semester, get a lot of the legwork done and aren't scrambling, 2 weeks into the semester to start from scratch. And we worry that this act would eliminate that possibility and force school certifying officials 2 weeks into the middle of the first semester to certify everything all at once. And additionally, most schools begin for 4-year programs in the last week of August. And so it might not seem like much, but that 1 or 2 week period of BEH you get at the beginning of September matters a lot. And if schools have to wait 2 weeks before doing it, that would effectively be eliminated in terms of that first increment of BAH. So again, we support the intent, but as long as dual certification is a best practice, we would like that to be maintained.
Very good. Thank you very much. And yeah, that's why we have you here. And I appreciate what you're doing. And you tell us how how it truly impacts the veteran so that we can write good legislation to their benefits. Everyone has good intentions. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'll yield back.